Hey everybody, welcome back to the Triple C Collective presents commentary track. Today I'm doing another TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles animated series from 1987. Doing episode 2, which is called Enter the Shredder. This episode was really great. It's really fun. It actually does a lot for what would kind of come to what I would know as defining this whole series and like this introduction of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to myself, and I'm sure to so many others out there. Um, so in this, we also get this episode. Let me just dive right in. This episode starts out exactly where episode one leaves off. April is still with the turtles. They're getting ready to have breakfast. Mikey is looking to get some food. April is looking to still get her story. Leo reassures everybody nobody's getting nothing until they start their training, until they get their training in for the day in the morning. And like that was a really great little like introduction to this episode. Like April being so like go 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 and like so focused on her story, and we come to find out later on in the episode she's been gone for like 3 days. So between the events of the first episode and where we see her in like this episode, she's been like MIA for 3 days. Kind of worrisome. I feel like people should have a little bit more. Like her boss at work is kind of nonchalant about that. Like later on in the episode, um, then we get after the training, we get their breakfast, and the breakfast is actually really interesting and funny. Because April is asking for normal food as she is seeing all of the turtles, Michelangelo, Raphael, Donatello, all have pizza for breakfast as they do, but they're all putting cereal now on top of their assorted pizzas, like cornflakes, raisin bran, things like that. It's great. I love it. I am tempted to try this now. I'm sure I probably tried doing this when I first saw it. I don't remember if having cornflakes on like pizza was good, bad, or indifferent. Same thing with raisin bran. But yeah, maybe I'll try that out. Let you guys know on the next episode, or next week on Turtle Tuesday. Because yeah, Turtle Tuesday. Love doing this stuff every week. And so sorry, I'm getting way out of track and way out of whack here. So they have the really great pizza breakfast with cereal on there, and then they kind of start like going off on the day really being spearheaded again by April and like her go go go. Like I need this story. I need something. If I've been going for all this time now, like I need something for it. I need something for the fruits of my labor. And so she forces, I shouldn't say forces, but she really puts the pedal to the metal on them. And when I say them, the turtles and her leaving to start their investigation into where the Technodrome is, and where who they don't know yet, but where Shredder is as well, and how they can figure out what's going on with all the tech that's been stolen, and with what we find out later on and like some of the newer crimes that have been happening. And then we leave. They go, actually no, the turtles and April go back to where they saw the Technodrome, and underneath like the foundation of the building that flooded in episode one, which was a really great shot, like of them showing how they were filling up the water. But in this episode, they are underneath, like in the sewers, obviously, where where the turtles and Splinter dwell, spend most of their days, and so they get here, they see all the water still like falling through or leaking through the ground into the sewerway there where the Technodrome was, but it's gone. And this is cause for concern because they don't know where it went, and that means they don't know where Shredder went. So for April, that means they don't know where her story is, and for the turtles, they don't know who this like what the hell is basically going on in their neighborhood, trying to figure out what's going on and keep it safe. We cut to then inside the Technodrome with Shredder, and this is kind of what I was talking about at the few minutes ago at the beginning, at the top of this episode, where like this is where we get a really big introduction to a bunch of stuff that like is kind of becomes iconic for I would say this show and stuff going forward is like we get the introduction of Krang and his annoying voice. It's great. It's really creepy, and it kind of like it sounds a little bit like a creature in a robot. I'm Krang, I'm a Shredder. Oh god, it's great. That was a horrible impression of it, though. I did not do a good job, so I am sorry, but I'm gonna stop with that now. But we get Krang, and like he doesn't have his android body, which is a huge like thing for like the comic and like or like for this show, and like kind of what we think about it. Like even NECA themselves have released that android body already. Um, I know I have it. I don't remember if I've done an unboxing for it yet or not. I don't think I have, but maybe I will be able to release it now next week or something for it. But either way, like we get the introduction of Krang Dimension X, shred like like the whole thing being bigger than like what we just kind of got in episode 1 of just the turtles catching on to this like tech heist basically that keeps going on, like these tech hits basically. And it was really cool. It was really great. Like and we get again seeing some more of the human form of Bebop and Rocksteady. Like this is all really great stuff. And this is also the point of the episode where they kind of go like kind of boop 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 boop, jumping from people to people to people really quickly. Whereas like before we were living for a few minutes here. But I really just like meeting Krang and hearing him and talking about his legions and his armies and Dimension X and trying to make all of that stuff happen is just really fun. It's really great. This was a really great like trip back into memory lane for me during this episode, and it was a lot of fun. Like I love this show. Like this show, I mean, this is only episode 2, but like I really didn't know if the show was gonna hold up for me because I kind of hold this show like pretty high up there for me, and like things that like kind of made me who I am and brought me into like my fandom. Like this is one of those shows along with like Batman the animated series and Spider-Man the animated series from like the early 90s. Like those things are like pivotal things that like shaped what I know and like how I look at like comics and like animation and cartoons and stuff, no doubt. And the X-Men the animated series, another one. Oh, another banger of a show. And they're doing a sequel to that now. Sequel like X-Men 97. Super excited for that. Back to the Turtles. So from here, like I said, this is where we kind of jump back and forth. Now we get an introduction to Roadkill Rodney. We get them going to go kidnap a rhino and a warthog that we eventually will know become Bebop and Rocksteady. We get Splinter and the Turtles and April O'Neil getting ready to like go on their own separate ways now, after their investigation of seeing that the Techno drone was gone and like just the water was leaking through still from like the building above and all of that. They go back with Splinter and all of them decide that they're gonna go split up. Like the Turtles will go one way, April O'Neil's gonna go another way, and Splinter says he's just gonna bury through this wall because rats can bury through anything. Burrow through anything, not bury. Burrow through anything. And I found that to be like really funny. I was like, sure, okay, no problem, Splinter, you got it, buddy. So they move through this. We get a shot back then of Shredder, and Shredder goes to like where all of his cronies are, Bebop, Rocksteady, and I think it's Scrag maybe is the other guy's name. He's a taller looking bloke with I with a what would you call it, like an overcoat on or whatever. I think actually in the newest round of Loot Crate exclusive Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle crate, the second round. The first one came with I have it. I'm putting this way because I have my Danny Pennington toy behind my screen here. And so like in this new release, I did it again. In the release with the Danny Pennington crate, that was crate one that came with Danny Pennington. I believe this Scrag character from the animated series may be a version of him from the video game. It's coming out as one of the Loot Crate exclusive releases, so I'm pretty excited for that as well. So like seeing that, like it made me excited to see all these other things that I have coming down the line, like toy wise, and things that they've released already, things that I've kind of like missed out on and stuff that I've kind of been like, dang. So it's been neat. It's been a neat rewatch, and it's really like fueled an old love and love of my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So this has been really great. It's been a lot of fun to dive into. But back to Shredder and the not the mess hall, but like their lounge room or whatever. Bebop and Rocksteady and all the people in there. Shredder says, "I'm looking for volunteers." Nobody like hurries up and volunteers. I can. You're gonna get revenge on the turtles and like power, basically more power than you'll know what to do with. And then everybody gets up and runs out. And then as they're all running by, like the Shredder actually does a really weird like, but I only need 2 volunteers, and it for me it was just weird. It just stuck out to me. I don't really understand why he would have I don't really understand that line. I only need the 2 volunteers. Like, you're just gonna kill these other guys or what? It confused me. I didn't get it. Beside the point. So then we move on from here. We get Bebop and Rocksteady in the human form. They're the ones who like went out for being the volunteers for this. They get strapped in. Bebop says, "Oh man, I should have brought a comic," which is a great little line and a great little like nod to like where the roots of the show and like where the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came from. There would be no show in theory without the comics that came before it. Like, if Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman didn't decide to get together and write like a comic and write and draw a comic first, like there would have been no license for this animated TV series or eventually the movie and the countless toys and stuff that we currently have. A bunch of, maybe not a bunch, but a few of them you've seen me unbox and stuff here on our channel. And I really appreciate you guys continually tuning in and liking our videos, watching them and stuff. I appreciate it. I love doing these things. I love doing deep dives. Please, if you guys have fun things about turtles or your own thing, drop them in comments, tweet them at us, Instagram us, whatever. But sorry, back to the episode. So Shredder finally gets his 2. He gets his 2 volunteers in Bebop and Rocksteady, and he gets them. And then, like I said, Bebop asks about a comic, and then we see them like bring in like the Rhino and stuff, and the Warthog, and we see Shredder in like a hazmat suit getting ready to like administer the mutagen to them. Which is really cool. So like we're really getting like the true introduction, like the true origin of how like Bebop and Rocksteady became Bebop and Rocksteady. And that's one of those things that like I talked about it before in the first episode. I just kind of forgot about like where certain things happen and how they in this show. I'm watching it again on the DVD version that they released of it. That like I forgot how they unfolded all of this information. So, like, the fact that, like, Bebop and Rocksteady were in episode 1 and then their true origin to make them what we know them to be as those mutated rhinos and Warthog was pretty cool. Seeing it in episode 2. David Wise and Patty Holwith. Howarth. Not entirely sure how to say her name. Sorry, Patty. But those two wrote the first 10 episodes of this of the animated series of the first. I mean, that's really the first season. So they wrote all of those episodes and like kind of brought it all together. So it was really neat seeing this creation of theirs like being brought up that like now through years and years later, decades later now with Turtles and fandom and stuff of them, that these characters have become so big. I mean, like not just the brothers of Michelangelo, Raphael, Leonardo, Donatello, the Turtles themselves, but also like Bebop and Rocksteady. Like people know these characters, who they are, and so like it was really cool as a lifelong fan, like who hasn't visited this area too much recently, going back and still being like, ah, oh, that was great. That was so cool to see. That's so fun to see. Yeah, it's a little bit silly, but that's okay. I still love it. I love every little bit of it. So yeah, it's been a lot. It's been a good deep dive. Not even a deep dive. It's been a good rewatch for me, for myself. So I hope you guys are enjoying this too. But we leave Bebop and Rocksteady right before we see like what would be their forms that we know them. We meet up with the Turtles, who are on their way to meeting up with April O'Neil, trying to catch up with her, see what new information she might have found, if there's anything that the news might have picked up, clues or anything, stories that they may not have run with yet that might be able to give them details about anything. That's where we find out. It's at this point we see the Turtles pop out of the sewer, and they are outside of the Channel 6 news building where April O'Neil currently is. She's up there talking to her boss. That's where we find out about the 3 days that she's been missing and all of that. Which is just like wild that somebody can just, be missing for 3 days and there's not like a search party out for somebody yet. I know it's a cartoon, I get it, it's all like fantasy and fictional characters and the like, but yeah, I don't know. I guess if I saw a coworker like gone for 3 days and nobody really knew, like, oh, did they take? No, they didn't take off. Oh, it's kind of worrisome, Where'd they go? So that was something that's always that like in the rewatch that I was like, would have thought people would have been a little bit more concerned, but her boss in the end is just like, there's breaking news and I still need somebody to cover it, so I'm not firing you. Here you go. Here's your last shot. And like April O'Neil's like, okay, great, thank you. And she takes a story, and it's actually a story that helps him. It's a story about a robbery from a zoo of a warthog and a rhino by some machines. When she's outside trying to find the Turtles, like to figure out where they are, where they can meet up, Turtles, unbeknownst to her already, are already outside in disguises. They meet up, and then they continue on of like what to do next, how to continue on the investigation to make sure that the Turtles can stop Bebop and Rocksteady and Shredder and the Technodrome, and then how April can have her story exposing all of this that has been going on in their city recently. Splinter, at this point, we get cut back to Splinter. He's done burrowing through all this rock and debris, finds the Technodrome, gets captured by one of the roadkill Rodneys and brought into the Technodrome. We cut back to the Turtles and April like officially split. April goes like, I know she just left Channel 6, but now she calls her boss saying that, hey, I have a story, I know where I need to go, I need a van and a camera crew to come with me. Send them to this address. The boss refuses, so April goes back to the Channel 6 news thing. It's really kind of unclear what she does because she's kind of on the phone. They say that they're not going to send anyone. And then it cuts to the turtles being underground, and then the next time we see April O'Neil is she's driving in like the News 6 van. So I can only assume when they said no, she just went back to the Channel 6 News, which very much so sounds like something April O'Neil would do as like a character of who she is that they would be saying, no, we're not going to send it. She would go back there, get what she needs, and just do it herself, which is what she ultimately does. Um, but then we see the turtles, and they now find the Technodrome. They left April above ground so that she can try and figure out, find whatever she can up there. They went underground to try and find the Technodrome, stop it from moving, find Splinter, find everything. Blow the lid off the whole case, if you will. And I need a drink. Now, for the turtles, once they get into the sewer, before they get to the Technodrome, once they get inside the Technodrome, sorry, they run a gamut of all kinds of different like skill tests that they have to be put up against. The first one is like the walls of the hallway are just coming in very like Star Wars, Star Wars episode 4, A New Hope, with like the trash compactor scene with like 3PO, turn off the trash compactor, turn it off. And the prison level trash compactor, yeah, all of that. It's very similar to that because like Raphael and Michelangelo are shell to shell trying to push the walls open. Leonardo slices it open. Donatello hot wires the like keypad or whatever that was there that was still available for them and actually gets it to reverse. Then Roadkill Rodney comes in. Both of them come up and try and attack the turtles. Raphael just stab straight through the heads of them with their size, tosses them out like a little hatch or whatever for like, I don't know, garbage or debris or whatever. They're bad guys. I doubt that they recycle, doubt Shredder's recycling and stuff there. I doubt that he cares about that. He wants world domination. He doesn't care about recycling. So yeah, the Roadkill Rodneys, they just get tossed right out there, right out that hatch. And excuse me, this whole little bit was like really interesting because they run this gamut and they have like the Star Wars thing. Then they get the then they get the Roadkill Rodney dump, which is fine, but the Star Wars with the walls was very important. Then they get like the mech like machine sort, not kaiju because they're not really like monsters, but they're mechs, so they're I don't know, Zords. If you're a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger fan, that might be easier for you, the Megazord and stuff. They fight these like machines in this like factory thing, and that is also equally cool because as much as in episode 1 they had that awesome like nunchuck spinning Michelangelo shot, they give you a great Leo slice and dice shot here, and it's not that you physically see Leo. The screen goes black and you just see the like silver streaks and slices of his katanas, of his samurai sword, of his swords. And that's it's so great. Like that first episode, like seeing that this Michelangelo like spinning through there and stuff like that with his nunchucks is like very iconic to me. And it was wild to me that image has stuck with me for so long that was like in the first episode. Now the stuff with Leo here wasn't as iconic for me because if I'm being honest, my favorite turtle has always been Michelangelo, without a doubt. So like that image of him spinning his, oh man, like absolutely love it. I like it. I'm still talking about it now. But this stuff of Leo is like as equally as cool without showing Leo doing the stuff. And like that's probably one of the crazier things about it is that the screen goes black and it's like shoo 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 shoo, and it's so cool. It's so great. And I just, there's certain things that like in the way that I decided to like watch this stuff that not everything will. I'm hoping everything still hits on all cylinders. And if things don't hit on all cylinders, I'm hoping that I can walk away from an episode that maybe didn't hit for me on all cylinders, being like, man, at least that they had this one really cool thing in there. And I mean, this is episode 2. Haven't had that yet. They're both bangers in their own right. And if you're a fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like you gotta have this in your repertoire. Like you gotta know about this show, because the show spawned a lot, especially back in the early days. Like the show came on in 1987. Those comics were only out for 3 years previous to the show, which, like, even if they were running one issue a month, that's 36 issues. Like, think about that. That's only 36 issues. That's not really a whole bunch of stuff to really go on and build off of. So a lot of, like, what bounced around between, like, what I can only assume bounced around between both is, like, stuff that came from the show. Like, Bebop and Rocksteady came from the show before they were in the comics. They weren't in the comics. Triceratons, they were like Mirage Studio like creations and stuff, and like they show up eventually. I think it's like season 7 or something. We get that Triceraton episode, and but yeah, you know, like it's great. I love it. I love how the show has influenced me to go back and like do my homework, so to speak, on like the turtle comic and stuff. I do have some really cool turtle comics that I will, like, I'll talk about in a separate video and stuff for them, like just to highlight those for cool things that I've done. I've met some people. I haven't met Kevin Eastman or Peter Lard. That would be really cool. But I have met Eric Talbot, who was a part of like the early days of Mirage Comics. He was a really great guy. I met him at C2E2 in like 2017. I think it was maybe 2018. No, 2017. And he was a really great, really cool dude. So that was a lot of fun to be able to meet like somebody who was there like in those early days of like creating it, like creating it and being a part of there. Again, side note, back to the episode. So once the final thing that after we get the really cool shot of Leo, the last like running the gamut thing that the turtles have to go through is that there is this round cylinder or tube with spikes on it that is very like just reminds me of Indiana Jones in the rolling ball scene, basically, because they're in the hallway, they have to run basically, and then a wall shows up, they blow up the wall, they blow a hole in the wall, and they're able to escape. But for just the way it was shot, like going down a long tunnel with something like just spinning after them like that, it was very reminiscent of Indiana Jones to me. And like I love things like that as well, of like seeing little overlap between different genres of like who did what and where do like this one movie and that's for anything now. Like anytime I see people running down a long hallway and there is like a piece of earth, like a boulder or something, like a non-human or animal chasing somebody like that, I automatically think of like Indiana Jones and Raiders. I'm sure a lot of people probably do, but maybe not. Maybe I'm just crazy, and maybe I'm way too far into into my own like fandom of genre and stuff that I just connect it all that way, and that's just my way my brain works because I've seen it. I don't know. Interesting questions, though. But the Turtles, so after they run the gamut, the Turtles and Shredder and, like, they're all together, finally. Turtles, Shredder, Splinter, they're all there. They're all hanging out. And Shredder basically starts saying, like, admits, the only reason you Turtles and Splinter look like that is because of me. I'm the one who brought the mutagen here. Excuse me, I'm the one who exposed you guys to the mutagen. This is all because of me and my doing. So accept your destiny and come join me. And Raphael gives the response of, does the saying or does the phrase go suck lemons mean anything to you? And it's one of my like favorite lines. Now, like just hearing it, I was just dying at it. Like that back and forth of it was perfect. It is like it's not actually what I would call like definitional to like Raphael and who he is as one of the turtles. He's like one of the cruder, ruder guys. So that comment can be seen as rude, but I'd actually find that comment to be a little bit more comical and probably a little bit more in lines with Michelangelo. But it was really great, and I think it's a little bit more shocking and maybe even a little bit funnier because it does come from Raphael as opposed to Michelangelo, who you would expect as the party dude to make a comment like that. Okay. Then we get so with the Turtles' denial, we get the full introduction of Bebop and Rocksteady. Now, this episode was called Enter the Shredder. This episode should have been called Enter Bebop and Rocksteady. Or Bebop and Rocksteady, just that. That's what this episode should have been called, because that's really what happened in this episode. We kind of found out who Shredder, or like we got introduced to Shredder in the first episode. Like, we don't really find out who he is, that he's been working with Krang, and that there's this interdimension, that there's this whole Dimension X, and that there's this mutagen that Krang helped him get so that it can change people into, like, animals that we found out, like, animals that they had just most recently touched, and vice versa, and it's crazy stuff. But we didn't, so we get that in here as well, but really what we've seen is we see the human form of Bebop and Rocksteady. We see them get about to be experimented on, and then we see their final forms. Like, we see the evolution of Bebop and Rocksteady. We see the origins of Bebop and Rocksteady in this, and so that's why I feel this episode should be just called Bebop and Rocksteady, really, as opposed to Enter the Shredder. But that's my own prerogative. April O'Neil finally arrives with the in her Channel 6 van, just as like the fight between Bebop, Rocksteady, and the Turtles move from underground to above ground. The Turtles eventually get Bebop and Rocksteady to like tricked into a zoo cage. April O'Neil is able to catch all the footage of the mutated Bebop and Rocksteady in their cage at the zoo, and then we get like April O'Neil and the Turtles talking about, we got to take this, April's like, I got to go take this footage and like go find this stuff. Like, the Turtles go and find Splinter and leave with him. And then we get the Bebop and Rocksteady Bebop and Rocksteady are actually saved from their zoo cages by Roadkill Rodney and by the Roadkill Rodneys. And that was a really great, because Roadkill Rodneys, when they went to go even take the rhinos and the warthogs, they had like laser beams that were like just taking out the bars of like the animal cages, basically. And not basically, that's exactly what they are. A warthog and a rhino are in a cage in the zoo. And but that was all really good. That's basically how the episode ends. We get, again, like I said, I think that this episode really should have been called Bebop and Rocksteady, not Enter the Shredder. This episode was again written by David Wise and Petty Howarth, and it was produced by Fred Wolf. Like, I just love this show. I love it so much. This has been so much fun to revisit it and come back to it. I know I really went off on a tangent and a little bit longer than I'd like. Usually I like to try and keep these episodes as long as the episode so that you can really watch it like along with it if you want to, or you can just watch it like on your own or whatever. So I know I went a little bit longer than I would normally like, but that's okay. I hope you guys really enjoyed this. Stay tuned for next week. I think next week I'll drop another review, and then after that I'll probably get you guys a short. I don't know, Thanksgiving and end of the year wrap up is just it's getting a little crazy, so I don't know. You guys, I only might be able to drop one more short and a couple more reviews, but we'll see what happens here. Other than that, this episode was really good. Episode 2 was really great. Episode 1 was really great. I'm really enjoying this. I'm sorry I went long. I usually don't like to do that. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please like, subscribe, follow on all of our social medias, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of it. I really enjoy doing this. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you guys have any questions, or if there's something that you guys want to ask me, please reach out. Really appreciate it. Or if there's something you guys would like us to point out because you've already rewatched this recently and you're like, hey, watch out for this, I want to talk about this, I want to see if somebody else sees this, please reach out to me. I will happily do my best to try and catch it once we get up there, and I will definitely look out for it, and I will call it out to the best of my ability. Otherwise, everyone stay safe. Cowabunga. Have a great day.